Good day to everyone. My name is Lebohang Matibela. It is my pleasure to welcome you at the Northwest University's Joint Gender and Language Awareness Week in 2020. As part of the transformation agenda of the university, the NWU hosts annual awareness weeks to create opportunities for inclusive conversations to explore current issues concerning race, gender, and language. Due to COVID-19 situation, we are hosting an online awareness week in 2020 that focuses on gender and language, and it is my pleasure to welcome you in the NWU home and the homes of our presenters. We want to thank our presenters up front. They shared their expertise with us by making homemade videos for their studies, from their studies and from their living rooms. We appreciate their willingness to share their expertise with us under less than ideal circumstances, and we adore the authenticity of their views, underscored by the very personal touch of the handmade quality of the videos. The topics that our presenters tackled and that we will discuss are hard-hitting. Our aim in 2020 was to trouble our past and to reimagine our future. Our focus this year is the current state of gender-based violence and the ongoing complex conversations about multilingualism in South Africa. Some of the contributions are unsettling and very controversial. As a higher education institution, it is our duty to create opportunities where these difficult and sometimes painful conversations can take place in a safe space. The audience will be able to contribute to the conversation after the presentations. We encourage multilingual contributions. A translator would monitor the chat and the Q&A functions and assist with translations where necessary. I want to make a plea to members of the audience who are, you are also invited to assist with the translations if you are able to do so. In this way, we will be helping each other. We request that all comments and replies be respectful as is fitting of conversations at a higher education institution. The contributions would be via the chat and the Q&A functions and will be in writing. We request that comments are concise and relevant to the topic at hand. We look forward to the engagement of the audience after the presentations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, some technical issues. Once you are logged in, you will see a small green button on the right-hand side of your screen. You click on this, you will see the chat facility. We would love to hear your comments and would love for you to keep the momentum going by putting your comments in the chat. Should you have any questions related to any of our speakers or presentations, please put your questions in the Q&A. Some presenters will be present during the sessions and some not. You must remember we have guests from all over the world. Some would be sleeping in their countries because it would be midnight. If you have any questions to the presenters who could not join us, we will send your questions to them via email after the session. You will also be able to upvote someone else's question to move that question up to the top. The hosts and coordinators would keep an eye on the prominent questions and respond to them. In order to make use of all the awesome features that this visual platform has to offer, we recommend that you use your laptop. If you have logged on with your mobile phone or tablet, you may not experience all these features, but don't worry. There is time to log on with your laptop in addition to that. We will share our recordings after the event. For optimal viewing, we would like to suggest that you click on the full screen arrows, which is located in the top right-hand corner. This will expand your view. Should you experience a drop in your connectivity, again, don't panic. This does happen. Just simply refresh your browser and you will be automatically logged back in. Welcome to the NW's Joint Gender and Language Awareness Week. Please sit back and enjoy the sessions with us.
Greetings, my name is Ms. Khwadi, popularly known as Ms. Bossy, female version of a boss. The reason for this is because I believe I can do what males do and even better. Currently, I'm a master's candidate at the Northwest-Universiteit doing my MCom in business management with my focus area being logistics management. Logistics management is a passion for me, and at some point I want to take it further and become one of the gurus or big females that have penetrated the logistics industry, which is currently very rare. At the institution, I have served in student leadership all my varsity years, but the most current one was when I was the first female Secretary General of the Student Campus Council, equally serving in the SLC as the Art and Culture and International Officer. My research revolves around driving the competitiveness of grocery SMEs in Mafikeng through third-party logistics. And this comes to show that I am very interested in the logistics sector, especially the transport part of it. One day, with my company that is emerging, I want to come back to the Northwest University and pay my gratitude for whatever that I have learned and whatever they have contributed to my learning, because I would be somebody big in society due to whatever educational qualifications obtained at the university. It is my dream also one day to become one of those retained students in the university so that I can serve well and also use my teaching and learning strategies as well as my teaching skills, since I have served as a peer mentor and also a supplemental instruction facilitator, which shows to the society of Northwest University at large that teaching and also facilitating in front of students, large crowds, is my thing. I want to have an impact in another child's life, in another student's life, in somebody's life, basically. With that said, I'm a go-getter. I'm a woman who believes in attaining her dreams. I'm a woman who believes that nothing is impossible, and I always aim for the stars because the sky is not even the limit. The universe is. And with that said, in conclusion of this introduction, I want to thank the Northwest University for giving me the opportunity to participate in the Gender Awareness Week so that my contribution can be heard of and make an impact in society at large. Gender-based violence is criminal offenses and violence imposed on women by the opposite gender, and that is males, and sometimes even to children. South Africa has put in place two types of laws that protect women and children against gender-based violence. And the first one is Domestic Violence Act number 166, and also the Criminal Law, Sexual Offense and Related Matters Act number 32 of 2007. The Domestic Violence Act is globally considered to be the most comprehensive and progressive piece of legislation. This is largely because of the comprehensive definition it gives to violence against women. According to the Act, violence against women encompasses physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse, economic abuse, intimidation, harassment, stalking, damage to property, forceful entry into the complainant's property, residence without consent, and any other controlling behavior towards the complainant. This comes to show you that in as much as this violence exists, South African legislation has tried to put in place some measures that will try to protect women and children against this sort of violence. It is in my stance to reject this kind of violence because as a woman and standing on behalf of other women, it is something that we suffer drastically from, because people lack to realize that violence is not just hitting a woman, but also when you stalk a woman as either their boyfriend, their husband, or somebody that they are involved with, is also some sort of violence. Sometimes even verbally harassing a woman by calling her names or any other name or any other thing that is offensive at the time is also sexual harassment, and it falls under the gender-based violence situation that we find ourselves in. It is not only about the sexual abuse, or rather rape, that can be considered as gender-based violence, but also these are the kind of violences that we find ourselves facing. Therefore, we always encourage males to retain or refrain rather from this type of violence against women. Beating a woman does not solve any kind of situation. There are many solutions that any male that is undergoing this type of situation or this type of pressure to find themselves beating a woman or abusing a woman that they can consider. So we are here to combat this gender-based violence and creating awareness to society at large, the Northwest University staff and students, as well as the legislation, to consider and try to stop gender-based violence by all means necessary. According to research, gender-based violence affects a lot of women, especially in the household. 1 out of 3 women, according to Stats SA, is affected by the gender-based violence we find ourselves trying to combat and trying to deal with. It is a problem in society that a woman trying to be in her household, trying to be as comfortable as she needs to be, goes through a lot of this type of abuse. There are many women that reported that during COVID-19, the rate of gender-based violence has increased. And the reason being that they do not have an escape place to go to, because research suggests that a lot of this abuse happens in the household. Women find themselves more free when they are outside their household, which is supposed to be the other way around. Women are supposed to find safety where they stay or where they reside. But we find women crying out to society and saying that when I'm home, or ever since COVID-19 began and lockdown was implemented, we are being abused drastically by our husbands, our partners, and our boyfriends. I do not understand if it is whether a problem of men being bored or finding no solution or no other way of dealing with their anger, their problems that they face at home. We do understand that men are providers of the household, and sometimes they find themselves frustrated that they cannot take responsibility for whatever that they are supposed to do in the household. But it does not come to a point of a man having to raise his hand over a woman. Especially, it becomes surprising if it's the woman that you claim to love, the woman that you claim to be your girlfriend, or the woman that you claim to be your wife. Wives and girlfriends are complaining, society. Wives and girlfriends are having it difficult in this lockdown situation that we are experiencing as a country. And it is not just in our country, but other countries as well, such as India, have reported the rise of domestic violence, or gender-based violence rather, in the household. We would expect rather that a woman would get violated outside her home. We would expect that a woman would get violated probably at the workplace or in the streets, but never in the home where she should find comfort. Therefore, it is a problem that South Africa is facing. South African women are in difficult and pressing situations. They can't be free in their households. They are sometimes even treated or subjected to positions of maids, because they're expected to bring tea in the morning, to make breakfast in bed, to look after the children, bathe them, cook for them, and also provide food for their counterparts. Equally, making sure that the whole household is being run under difficult financial situations. Therefore, we are encouraging males that find themselves in these difficult situations, beating their women, abusing them verbally, physically, in any other way, or intimidating them, that they should stop the gender-based violence. They should stop this violence against the women, because it is bad.
Good day, everyone. I go by the name of Kamogelo Bakai, and I am a final year LLB student here at Northwest University. An interesting thing about me is that I graduated my BA Law degree cum laude, and also I plan on doing my master's next year in 2021. And I have a special interest in working for the world of finance and corporate one day. So that's me. What is gender based violence? So, gender based violence is a term, according to the Safer Spaces Organization of South Africa, that is utilized to describe a violence that occurs in consequence of normative role expectations associated with a specific gender and also unequal power structures that exist between the genders. For example, patriarchy. Patriarchy is a political and social system that is designed to say that men are superior to women. So the women in South African societies who find themselves acting out or seemingly acting out against such patriarchy, they are then punished by the men who benefit and are in support of the patriarchy, and thus inflicting violence upon the woman by the men. However, it takes place in many different forms. It includes psychological, emotional, structural, and financial. Gender-based violence against members of the LGBT community, the trans community, domestic violence, intimate partner violence. So it's not just limited to just the patriarchy that exists. And so, yeah, then we have a legal framework in South Africa for it. Legal framework of South Africa, we have the Domestic Violences Act that was enacted in 1998, the Sexual Offences Act that was enacted in 2007, and we also have the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Human Persons Act of 2013 to deal with not just gender-based violences, but also the violences that occur or are inflicted upon such victims. So it doesn't just end there, it goes down also on a communal level, not just with the acts. So we have response and prevention measures. Response measures are those that are taken when one reports a gender-based violence incident in which they're given shelter or medical attention. And then we have preventative ones. Preventative ones are basically there to ensure that it doesn't happen, gender-based violence does not occur at all. And so the social development has also developed like a hotline that you can call 0800 428 428, or you can send a please call me to *120 *7807#, or you can also SMS help to 31531, and the people from the Gender-Based Violence Command Center are then going to contact you and guide you with regards to how you should go about the procedure of reporting up to the fact an incident of gender-based violence. And also the South African Crime Quarterly 54 also has preventative measures that are present there. And yeah, so if your first contact is the police, they'll guide you. If your first contact is the hotline, the Gender-Based Violence Command Center, they will also guide you on what to do. Gender-based violence affects the society on social and developmental level. For example, survivors of gender-based violence or victims thereof have psychological trauma or may experience psychological trauma, and it especially persists on those who do not receive the psychosocial and medical support that they require. And families may also experience vicarious trauma, indirect trauma as a result, and some families may be inexperienced on how to deal with gender-based violence, or this may be a norm to them and they may have become desensitized to it. On the economy, KPMG reported that in 2014, South Africa had spent an estimated amount between 24.2 billion to 42.4 billion with regards to gender-based violence measures. And this is how it affected the economy, because it was in between 0.9% to 1.3% of South Africa's GDP. That's how it affected the economy. So then why does it persist, especially now during COVID-19? In consequence of confinement. Confinement because when you have many people in one home who are living together, privacy may be an expense, and it may not be given. and therefore families may be stressed out as a result of spending so much time together in a confined place, and resulting in situations where violence occurs. And also, many may lose their jobs or have lost those jobs during COVID-19, and leaving them to suffer economically, and therefore resulting in conflict at home, also resulting in violence. Those who cannot cope with the lockdown as well and such economic losses may also endeavor to drinking or abusing substances, resulting in also violence, gender-based violence. The South African Police Service has reported that the first week of lockdown that occurred, over 87,000 calls regarding gender-based violence had been made, and also by the end of the first 3-week lockdown, that over 122,000 calls had been made to the South African hotline for gender-based violence. And this was reported by the gender unit of the Southern African Development Community. So that's how it affects people, especially now during COVID-19.
Hi, my name is Bongolethu Masiza. I'm a 24-year-old lesbian woman doing her honors in psychology. What is gender-based violence? To me, gender-based violence is me changing my outfit multiple times before I leave the house, wearing something that I think is safe, but still getting sexual advances that I clearly reject, but them not stopping. It's me being paranoid when my sister goes out to play for more than an hour. It's me going to an event and my mother saying goodbye to me when both of us know that I might not come back alive. It's me being a masculine identifying lesbian woman walking down the street with my partner. A man approaching us asking if we are a couple, confirming that we are a couple, and him asking if he can join us. Is there a gap between the legal framework that is in place to protect society against gender-based violence and the implementation of this framework? I think there is. Our justice system depends heavily on evidence. I, for one, cannot imagine myself in a situation where someone is violating me, someone is inflicting pain and trauma on me, someone feels like they have a right to my body, and I have to think about how I'm going to gather evidence to get this person prosecuted, gather enough evidence to get them prosecuted. Another thing is police officials who are not equipped to deal with gender-based violence cases. They will ask you unnecessary questions, and sometimes the victim ends up just walking away. What can be done about this? I think we should have a police force that is informed and educated about gender-based violence and how to handle these situations. Maybe them going for courses, programs, so that they constantly update their skills, because gender-based violence doesn't have one definition. The impact of gender-based violence on society during the COVID-19 pandemic. I follow the gender-based violence thing very closely, and I was shocked to discover that within the first week of the lockdown, the number of gender-based violence cases increased by up to 87,000. Perhaps because in most cases, the perpetrator is someone that you're close to. And with the lockdown, most people are home, so they have easier access to the victims. This impacts everyone around them.